Picture this. You walk into a Honda dealership in 2015, slap down $184,000, and ride out on Marc Marquez's actual MotoGP bike. Street legal, with lights and mirrors. Sounds impossible, right? Well, Honda actually did it. 215 horsepower of pure racing madness that you could legally ride to work. And that's just number 7 on this list. Road bikes with actual race engines. I've got 6 more that'll blow your mind. Let's ride. Number 7, Honda RC 213 VS, 2015 to 2016. On the face of it, this Honda looks like just another expensive superbike, but what you're looking at is literally a MotoGP bike with turn signals. No joke. When Honda released this in 2015, they basically took their championship-winning RC 213V that dominated MGPT and made 213 street-legal versions. Here's the insane part. About 70 to 80% of this bike is identical to what the factory riders use on Sundays. The 999 cubic centimeter V4 engine pumps out 159 horsepower in street trim, but here's where it gets wild. Honda included an optional sports kit with the bike. Pop that on, and suddenly you're making 215 horsepower at 13,000 RPM. That's more power than most leader bikes, wrapped in a package that weighs just 170 kilograms dry. The engine screams to life with that distinctive V4 howl. But everything else, pure MotoGP. The same HRC technicians who build Marc Marquez's bike assembled these by hand, 1 per day. That's it. The suspension is World Championship spec. Uhlen's TTX 25 fork up front, TTX 36 shock in the rear, Brembo monoblock calipers grab those rotors with authority, and when you twist that throttle, you're experiencing what it's like to ride a bike that costs more than most houses. In 2021, someone paid over $250,000 for an unridden example still in its shipping crate. The most expensive Japanese motorcycle ever sold at auction. This isn't just a bike, it's a piece of racing history you can actually ride. Number 6, Ducati Desmosedici RR, 2007 to 2008. Before Honda made their MotoGP replica, Ducati said, "Hold my espresso," and did it first. Back in 2007, the Italians shocked everyone by announcing they'd build 1,500 street-legal versions of Casey Stoner's MotoGP bike. And here's the kicker. They sold every single one at $72,500 each. Sold out. Gone. The 989 cubic centimeter V4 Desmosedici engine is pure Ducati racing DNA. That Desmosedici valve system, where the valves are mechanically opened and closed instead of using springs, comes straight from decades of racing development. In street trim, you're looking at about 170 horsepower. But Ducati being Ducati, they offered a race kit. Bolt that on, and you're suddenly making 200 horsepower at a screaming 13,800 RPM. The performance numbers are absolutely bonkers for 2007. 0 to 200 kilometers per hour in 7.3 seconds. Most supercars of that era couldn't touch it. It sits on forged magnesium Marcassini wheels, the same ones used in racing. The rear tire is a special 16-inch Bridgestone developed specifically for this bike. Brembo monoblock calipers handle stopping duties, using the exact setup Ducati ran in wet MotoGP races. And that steel trellis frame? It's a hybrid design that mimics the geometry of the GP6 MotoGP racer. The sound alone is worth the price. That V4 with Desmosedici valves creates this mechanical symphony that nothing else can replicate. It makes power smoothly from idle all the way to the 13,800 RPM red line. But when you wind it past 10,000 RPM, things get seriously intense. Today, clean examples are selling for over $150,000. This was the bike that proved you could bring MotoGP to the street. Number 5, Kawasaki Ninja H2R 2015 to present. Forget everything you know about fast motorcycles. The H2R isn't just fast. It's violently, stupidly, dangerously fast. This track-only monster packs a supercharged 998 cubic centimeter inline-4 engine that produces 310 horsepower. And with ram air feeding that supercharger, it peaks at 326 horses. No production motorcycle comes close. The aerodynamics are straight from aerospace engineering. Those carbon fiber winglets aren't just for show. At high speeds, they generate massive downforce to keep the front wheel planted. In 2016, Turkish racer Kenan Sofuoglu proved just how insane this machine is. He took a stock H2R, fitted it with special Pirelli tires, and hit 400 kilometers kilometers per hour. That's 248 miles per hour on a motorcycle in 26 seconds. The electronics package reads like a World SBK parts list. 9-mode traction control that you can adjust on the fly, 3-mode launch control for perfect starts, Brembo brakes that can haul this beast down from triple-digit speeds. Here's the thing though, this bike is not street legal anywhere. No headlights, no mirrors, no license plate mount. It's purely a track weapon. Priced around $55,000, it's actually cheaper than the Honda or Ducati MotoGP replicas. But make no mistake, this is the most powerful production motorcycle ever built. It doesn't just break speed records, it obliterates them. Number 4, BMW HP4 Race, 2017 to 2018. BMW looked at their World SBK program and asked a simple question. What if we just sold the race bike? The result is the HP4 Race, and it's absolutely mental. This is the world's first production motorcycle with a full carbon fiber monocoque frame and carbon fiber wheels. The entire frame is one solid piece of molded carbon. Only 750 units were built, each one hand-assembled over several weeks by 3 specialized mechanics in BMW's Berlin plant. The 999 cubic centimeter inline-4 engine screams to 215 horsepower at 13,900 revolutions per minute and revs all the way to 14,500 revolutions per minute. That carbon frame weighs just 17 pounds. And it's not just light, it's stronger and more precisely tuned for flex characteristics than any metal frame could be. BMW used a process called resin transfer molding, where carbon fibers are saturated with resin in a closed mold. The result is a frame with no weak points, no welds, no bolts holding it together. The suspension is pure World SBK. Uhland's FGR 300 fork and TTX 36 GP shock, identical to what the factory race bikes use. Brembo GP4 PR monoblock calipers with coated titanium pistons and 320mm racing discs. The wheels? Carbon fiber, saving over 3 pounds compared to forged aluminum. Fully fueled, this bike weighs 377 pounds. That's lighter than the minimum weight for a World SBK race bike. The catch? The engine needs a complete rebuild every 3,000 miles. And that rebuild costs around $20,000. But if you can afford the $78,000 purchase price, you probably don't care. This is as close as you can get to a factory race bike without actually joining the paddock. Number 3, Ducati Panigale V4 R, 2019 to 2025. This is the bike Ducati uses to win World SBK championships. Bolt on the Akrapovic racing exhaust and add Ducati Corsi's special shell performance oil, and power jumps to 239 horsepower. At that point, you're making the same power as a modern MotoGP bike from just a few years ago. The engine is a direct descendant of Ducati's Desmosedici MotoGP motor, featuring a counter-rotating crankshaft that spins opposite to the wheels. The V4R was the first street-legal bike to feature a racing-style gearbox pattern. Neutral sits below first gear instead of between first and second, just like in MotoGP and World SBK. This ensures maximum engine braking when downshifting into first gear corners and eliminates the risk of accidentally hitting neutral when shifting between first and second at full chat. And then there's the aerodynamics. Those corner side pods are lifted straight from MotoGP technology. They're designed to generate downforce at extreme lean angles, pushing the bike into the pavement when you're dragging knee through corners. The biplane wings increase vertical load by 25% compared to the previous generation. The electronics package is World Championship caliber. Race brake control lets you hammer the rear brake while leaned over, just like MotoGP riders do. The 6-axis IMU monitors everything 125 times per second. Traction control, wheelie control, slide control, engine brake control, launch control, it's all there. At under $50,000, this bike is an absolute bargain. Ducati goes racing with this on Sunday. You can ride it to work on Monday. Number 2, Yamaha YZF R1M 2015 to present. The R1M is special for one reason above all others: that cross-plane crankshaft. Yamaha took the engine technology from Valentino Rossi's YZR M1 MotoGP bike and put it in a street bike. This creates uneven firing intervals that give the 998 cubic centimeter crossplane inline for a torque delivery that feels more like a V-twin than an inline 4. Why does this matter? Because it creates a more linear power delivery that's easier to control at the limit. When you're leaned over at maximum angle, cracking the throttle open, that cross-plane crank gives you better rear tire feel and more progressive power. The electronics package is lifted directly from Yamaha's MotoGP program. There's a slide control system that came from the M1 race bike, using the 6-axis IMU to detect lateral slides under hard cornering and modulate power delivery to keep everything smooth. Traction control, wheelie control, launch control, lift control, engine brake management, it's all there. But the real party trick is the Öhlins electronic racing suspension. The fork and shock automatically adjust damping in real time based on what you're doing. The system uses data from the IMU and various sensors to optimize suspension performance 125 times per second. The bodywork is full carbon fiber. Windscreen, fairings, front fender, tail section, all carbon. There are MotoGP-inspired carbon winglets that generate downforce at high speeds. Forged magnesium wheels shave unsprung weight. And then there's the communication control unit with GPS. It records all your data and automatically logs lap times when you're at a racetrack. At $27,899, the R1M gives you genuine MotoGP technology in a street-legal package. Number 1. Aprilia RS-V4 Factory, 2021 to present. Here's the king. The 2025 RS-V4 Factory makes 220 horsepower at 13,100 RPM from its 1,099 cubic centimeter, 65-degree V4 engine, making it the most powerful street-legal production superbike in the world. And it's fully compliant with strict Euro 5 plus emission standards. Aprilia didn't just build a fast bike, they built a winner. This platform has won 7 World SBK championships. Max Biaggi took titles in 2010 and 2012. Sylvain Guintoli won in 2014. Toprak Razgatlioglu dominated in 2021. The APRC electronic suite is borderline unfair. 8-level adjustable traction control that you can change on the fly without closing the throttle. 3-level wheelie control, 3-level launch control. And here's the trick, Aprilia slide control. This system doesn't just react to slides, it predicts them. The algorithm processes speed, lean angle, throttle position, and gear selection in real time. The RS-V4 Factory gets Öhlins Smart EC 2.0 semi-active suspension that automatically adjusts based on riding conditions. The new twin-layer winglets are borrowed directly from Aprilia's RSGP MotoGP bike. The engine is a masterpiece. That 65-degree V4 was specifically designed for racing, and it shows. Peak torque of 92 pound-feet arrives at 10,800 RPM. The thing revs freely, sounds like a Fury, and delivers power in a way that makes even experienced riders giggle like idiots. And the price? $26,099 for the most powerful street-legal superbike ever built. With factory-level electronics, semi-active suspension, and genuine MotoGP-derived aerodynamics, that's almost insulting. This is Italian racing heritage at its finest. The RS-V4 Factory isn't just number 1 on this list, it's the pinnacle of what a production superbike can be. 7 bikes, 7 different ways to put a race engine on the street. From Honda's $250,000 MotoGP replica to Aprilia's 220 horsepower World SBK weapon, these machines blur the line between racetrack and road. Want more two-wheeled insanity? Check out our superbike playlist. Know someone who needs to see this? Share it with them right now.